Hello Z-Bird! In today's episode of Detective Pikachu Returns, we explore the Denis mansion for the missing jewel. Who could have stolen it and why? Let's find out together. The day after the award ceremony. At least the weather's good. We're back in Ryme City. That's good. Whimsicott rides the wind from town to town.
Whoa, that's a lot of Whimsicott.
Sure is. They ride through on seasonal winds every year.
I hear they can be real pranksters.
If they get in a house they like, they scatter cotton everywhere.
Oh no.
Sounds like a pain to clean up.
Yep.
They're so adorable though, I love them.
The sweet smell of coffee is calling my name.
It's the perfect Pikachu bait.
Tim!
Oh, who's this? Frank Holiday, Ryme City Police Inspector.
Inspector Holiday, did you finally find my dad?
Sorry. No. I'm here on a different case. We've received reports of a jewel theft. Could you lend me a hand with this one?
Of course.
The incident occurred at the Denis Residence, the mansion down the street. Sorry, but Brad is waiting for me. I'll go ahead and meet up with you there.
So much for my coffee.
The coffee is gonna have to be a to-go order. Okay, let's go, Pikachu. Wait a second, Tim. What for? There's no need to rush. You've gotta be calm and unhurried if you want to do your best investigating. Yeah, I guess that's true. Chatting with Pikachu. Pikachu's a real talkative Pokemon. If you see this Pikachu icon in the lower left corner of the screen, you can press the right button to chat with him. Sometimes Pikachu will try to get your attention, and a Pikachu icon will bounce to let you know he wants to talk. If you see this icon bouncing, press the right button to hear what Pikachu has to say. Sure, so it looks like, of course, right now,
Tim,
he wants our attention.
look, I know we need to hurry, but would it really hurt if we relaxed a bit? For instance, oh, here's a good idea. You could listen to some sage advice from a great detective like me.
Sure, let's see what you have to say. Oh, but Holiday's waiting. We better go join him. All right, well, we'll chat with you really quick.
Yeah, I'm in a great mood. This city really gets me pumped up.
I'm glad, so Pikachu seems pretty happy. What else can we do? Hey Tim, that's not the way to the crime scene. All right, can we go grab coffee? As much as I hate to admit it, we don't have time to drink coffee right now. All right, good to know, good to know. Whoa, lots of Pokemon around here. Indeed, he really helps loosen up the knots in my shoulders. Oh, that's sweet. What's going on over here? Oh no, Hariyama's facing off with Poliwrath again. Why does he act out like this? He's usually so gentle. Is something wrong? My partner Hariyama loves showing off his strength, especially when he can test it against someone else's. And since Poliwrath is also proud of its muscles, Hariyama considers it his rival. Once they start going at it, it's hard to stop them. Yikes, guess we better avoid that alley for now. So I guess we can't go down this way. Wrath. Yeah, they're fighting. A Poliwrath and a Hariyama are squaring off. You could cut the tension with a knife. It looks like a fight could break out any second. We should probably avoid this alley so we don't accidentally set them off. All right, I'll leave it be. I just like running around the environments and seeing what we can see and interact with, like you over here. Great job, Maractus. Your dancing is so cute. From the top, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's adorable. All right, so they have a little dancing routine. Look at this slowpoke fountain. And then I think Holiday went over this way, but what is this? How about a little snack for you and your partner? There's menu items items use all sorts of different berries. With so many choices, they could cater to any Pokemon's tastes. All right, cool. So I guess we can maybe get some of those later. Okay, here's Holiday.
Tim!
I appreciate you coming on such short notice, Tim. This way, the crime took place at the Denis Residence up ahead. Ooh, okay. go to the scene of the crime, the Denis Residence. So I'll catch up to you right over here. Is it this one? No. Denis Residence exterior. Okay. All right, so here we are. And whoa, it really is a big mansion.
Well, 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 if it isn't the great detectives.
Brad McMaster, Ryme City Police Lieutenant. Manectric, dedicated to law and order. It's been a while, Brad. I see you're on the case too. I suppose that means you are as well. You private detectives do love sticking your noses into every little thing. If Mr. Denis hadn't requested you personally, I'd be asking you two to leave right now. Yep, he's still a jerk. Think he's still holding a grudge from that time we showed him up? Oh no. He says no funny business. Sheesh, no wonder you two are partners. That's enough, Brad. We're going to be conducting this investigation together. This is the scene of the crime, right? Yes, this mansion belongs to Sanjeev Denis, a jeweler. Huh. And it's quite the huge estate. It's the Denis Residence. Mr. Denis is one of the wealthiest men in Ryme City. Under normal circumstances, a civilian like yourself would never have the opportunity to meet him. Make sure you don't do anything to offend him. Oh, and don't get in the way of our investigation either. He's just got to get a dig in somewhere, doesn't he? Okay, Tim, come inside. Whoa, the missing jewel. So I guess we have our first real case here. Denis Residence, 1F. Very fancy in here. Looks just as good from the outside as it does the inside.
I see.
All right, Tim. Mr. Denis is waiting for you in the room to the right. Thanks, Inspector Holliday. Okay, so talk to Sanjeev Denis.
I see.
The parlor is to the right. Mr. Denis is waiting for you there. We appreciate the help, Tim. And I guess maybe we can chat with some other people. Definitely want to take a look around at each environment. We got a cool Pokemon picture. The name of this painting is Golden Sunrise, and it depicts Ho-Oh, a Pokemon that's spoken of in legends. They say it brings eternal happiness, and that its wings shine with a rainbow-colored light. Rainbow-colored light, huh? The painting sure is beautiful, but I'll bet the real thing is even more breathtaking. I can talk to you too. Wait, no, I didn't mean to do that. That was weird. Tim sort of turned around when I pressed the button. No, Tim, come on, I wanna talk to Manectric. There we go. Hey, I have a couple of questions to ask. Got a moment? Don't wanna waste time chatting while you're on duty, huh? Awfully stubborn, aren't you? You're even harder to talk to than Brad's Manectric. Oh, this is a different Manectric. Lieutenant McMaster is currently interviewing Mr. Barnes in this room. Okay. Lieutenant McMaster, okay.
Excuse me?
I guess it would be too much to ask us for us to join in, right? I'm afraid we can't allow even the great Detective Tim to do that. Police protocol, you understand. At least this officer's a lot nicer. And I guess over here, oh, there's another picture. Whoa. The name of this painting is Silver Waves, and it depicts Lugia, a Pokemon known as the Guardian of the Seas. It's rumored to live deep down on the ocean floor, but no one's ever seen it. That makes sense. The ocean floor is not exactly a place you just casually visit. Gotcha. Very cool paintings. And I guess this is...
Oh, Tim, I've been waiting for you.
Sanjeev Denis, jeweler. Growlithe, guard at the Denis Residence. Looks so sad. My name is Sanjeev Denis. I'm a jeweler, and this is my partner, Growlithe. I'm Detective Tim Goodman, and this is my partner, Pikachu. Sorry to jump right into it, but could you please tell us what you know about the incident? About the crime that took place.
Oh.
A precious jewel was stolen while I was out of the house. It's called the Aurora Drop, and it's a very rare jewel indeed. The Aura Drop, or Aurora Drop. What a mysterious name, magical even. The thief injured one of my staff members and made off with the jewel. Noted testimony. Huh. Thankfully, my staff member's injuries were minor, and yet... Is something sticking out to you as odd? Well, the police are treating my trusted butler as the prime suspect. They think the butler did it? Could you tell me a bit more about the stolen jewel? It looks like this. Whoa. Most gemstones must first be cut and polished into beautiful jewels, but the Aurora Drop is said to have naturally formed into its shape. The way it shines looks a bit like an aurora. Yes, that's precisely how it got its name. The Aurora Drop has been the subject of many a tale, but it was thought to be nothing more than fiction. Even among us jewelers, for the longest time, we called it the Jewel of Legend. Wow, he wasn't kidding when he called it precious. Guess it's no surprise that someone wanted to steal it. It definitely sounds valuable. Where were you displaying it? I kept it securely locked within a special reinforced case inside my jewel storage room. There are locks on both the storage room door and the reinforced case. And yet, despite all that security, it still got stolen. About your trusted butler. You mentioned that the police already have a suspect. Yes, they believe that the thief is my own trusted butler, Barnes. Why do they think that? Because Barnes and I are the only people who can access the key to the storage room. What's keeping someone else from getting to it? The key is always kept around Growlithe's neck. If anyone but Barnes or myself attempted to take it from her, Growlithe would start barking. My Growlithe is a very loyal Pokemon. She would never allow the key to be taken by a stranger. I don't see a key around Growlithe's neck right now. The police think Barnes took it. That would certainly make sense, assuming Barnes really is the culprit. Mr. Denis, if possible, I'd like to talk with Barnes. He is currently being questioned by the police. But you don't believe Barnes is the thief, is that correct? I've known Barnes since we were young. He worked in this home for years and has always served us well. I'm certain that he'd never steal from me. And I couldn't possibly imagine him hurting anyone. So you're saying Barnes didn't do it, and the real culprit is still at large? That's right, someone else must have stolen the jewel. Please help me prove that Barnes is innocent. Ah, so that's why you called us here, to clear his butler's name. We'll talk to Barnes later. Interesting. So, finding the Aurora Drop and clearing Barnes' suspicion. Those are the two things you called us here to do? Could you please? You're the only ones I can count on. Our job is to investigate the case and reveal the truth. We won't know if Barnes is truly innocent until we look into this more. Yeah, the police must have at least some reason to suspect him. But we'll do what we can. If that's acceptable to you, we'll take the case. That's more than acceptable. Thank you, Tim. Great, in that case, may I start investigating the scene of the crime? Of course, the jewel storage room is just upstairs. I know you won't let me down. Okay, so it looks like we have our first major case. Wait a second, Tim. There's something I want to try, starting with this case. Something you want to try? Yeah, a case notebook. The writers for Detective Journal swear by it. Detective Journal? That's the magazine you're always reading, right? Yeah, that's the one. They researched the most efficient way for detectives to organize their case notes. The solution they came up with was a case notebook. Sounds intriguing. How does it work? I'm getting to that. First, open up your notebook. Okay, so we press the X button. How was the jewel stolen? Sanjeev Dennis's jewel has apparently been stolen, but how did the culprit steal it? Investigate the scene of the crime on the second floor for clues. First, let's write in the notebook any burning questions that arise while we're investigating, which it seems like we just did. We'll summarize the testimony and evidence that we've gathered during our investigation on the page below. So we can click on that, the stolen jewel. The Aurora Drop is Mr. Dennis's prize jewel. Someone has stolen it. After we've collected enough testimonies and evidence, the begin deducing option will appear. When you select this, we can start deducing the answers to our questions. We don't have enough testimonies or evidence right now, but once we do, we'll be able to start deducing. Gotcha. I guess actually using the notebook is the best approach. So, Tim, what do we have to do right now? we have to collect testimonies and evidence to figure out how the jewel was stolen. To do that, we first have to investigate the scene of the crime. That's right, let's go check out the jewel storage room. Okay, so guess there's not anything more to do on this page, so we'll back out of here and go to the jewel storage room on the second floor. Sure, I don't think there's anything else really to look around at here, but we'll catch up with Frank Holiday. I take it you've heard what Mr. Dennis has to say. I'm guessing he also told you about his butler. He's definitely not pleased that Barnes has fallen under suspicion. It sure seems that way. In my position, I'm not at liberty to share all the information we've gathered, but if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. Thank you. At the time of the incident, what was the situation in the mansion at the time of the incident? We're still looking into that. I'm sure you'll get more direct answers by asking the witnesses themselves. He's right. We should take this one step at a time and gather our own intel. About Barnes. I was told Barnes is the police's prime suspect. Well, the circumstantial evidence certainly seems to be pointing in his direction. He doesn't sound terribly convinced. Does anything strike you as odd? Yes, actually. I can't think of a single motive for Barnes to steal that jewel. He doesn't appear to bear any ill will towards Mr. Dennis, and he's in no trouble financially. That being said, we may uncover a motive in the course of our investigation, but for now, I can't say anything with certainty. Understood. All right, and about the Aurora Drop. I hear the Aurora Drop is an incredibly valuable jewel. The Aurora Drop's not just valuable, it's famous throughout the entire jewelry industry. Then there must be plenty of people who'd like to get their hands on it. Could the jewel have been stolen by an intruder? I can't rule out that possibility, but based on current evidence, I'd say the likelihood of a burglary is low. All right, so that was some good information. We gotta go to the second floor then, right up here, the Denis Residence 2F. Okay, so what can we do up here? Looks like we can talk to Pikachu.
Okay, I'm gonna teach you some great detective tips.
Ooh.
Great detective tip number 1. Every single thing a suspect says or does has a motive behind it. It's a great detective's job to uncover them.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. And what about the light bulb? That'll give me a hint. That's right. Have you gotten used to using your case notebook? If you don't know how to solve a puzzle, feel free to discuss it with me. No thank you for now.
See.
Okay, don't hesitate to ask if you're ever confused. I'll help you out whenever you need it. We got another police officer over here. This room is currently being searched by the police. We really can't do much with the police blocking everything off. We may be investigating a crime, but we should still respect the residents' privacy. We shouldn't go barging into rooms that have nothing to do with the case, Tim. True, we need to focus on the jewel storage room. Okay, so that's not over here then, huh? Maybe it's right over here? Yeah, it looks like it. Wait, I was gonna talk to you. The jewel storage room has been left exactly as it was at the time of the incident. Inspector Holiday has already filled me in. Please go right ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. Whoa, the jewel storage room is quite the mess at the moment. Well, looks to be a lot of cotton. Huh. That reminds me of a certain Pokemon we saw earlier, and look at that little hair. I saw some little hairs flying around, and the door has a lock to it, so you think it would stay locked. Yeah, there's a little cotton hairs flying all over the room right now. What is it, Pikachu? I checked out the door, but there are no signs of forced entry. Then we can be fairly certain that the thief used a key to get in. According to Dennis, this room's where the Aurora Drop used to be. Let's take a closer look. So let's search for clues, and we can run up to all of these and see what this one. What a beautiful jewel. It's so clear and sparkly, absolutely brilliant. But obviously this is where the big mess is. A green jewel. That fresh green color reminds me of the forest. Just looking at it is calming. You can see all this cotton everywhere. What about this one? This is probably where the original jewel is, the Aurora gem. This area looks more disturbed than the rest. Let's start investigating. We might find a clue. All right, don't let any details slip past you, Tim.
Let me see.
Let's see. Where should we look first? Well, this one's really catching my eye. There's like a blue feather popping out of this. What is with this? Here's a blue feather. Do you think the Pokemon it belonged to was in this room? Maybe it's from a Pokemon that lives in the mansion. Let's look into that later. Huh. And then over here, what are you looking at, Pikachu?
Hey, Tim. Quit looking at my tail and start investigating anything that looks suspicious.
Sorry, you're so distractingly cute. That looks like part of the jewel case. Based on the shape, do you think the top half of the case was cut off? Yeah, it looks that way. It's a really clean cut. Sliced open jewel case. Huh. Slicing it must have taken one seriously sharp blade. I doubt a human could pull that off. So this might be a Pokemon, or at least assisted by a Pokemon. There's some cotton on the ground. It looks really fluffy and soft. Cotton in the jewel storage room. What's a bunch of cotton doing in here? I'm not quite sure, but if it's anything like we saw earlier today, there was that one cotton Pokemon flying around. Maybe it has something to do with that. Ooh.
Hey, Tim. Check it out. Looks good, huh? Disguises are a key part of detective work, you know.
Yeah, whatever. Now quit goofing off and investigate.
I think it's a good disguise.
My art. Perhaps I need to give him a little more training.
Oh no. I thought it was a pretty solid disguise, I don't know. All right, is there anything else we can do around here? I guess the main thing. So first off, it looks like it does also have its own lock. The jewel case is still locked. Lock on the jewel case. Like Denis said, the jewel in this case was stored under lock and key. And the key to the case is a different key than the one to the jewel storage room door. I wonder who has the key then?
Right.
We've covered everything I was wondering about. Any other spots you want to check? I don't think so. I mean, I guess there's like the actual case. This is the only case that's damaged. Must be where they kept the Aurora drop. The edge looks like it was sliced clean with a blade. What kind of blade could slice this evenly though, through such a sturdy jewel case? I don't know, quite the big mystery though. I don't see anything else around here though, so I think we're good to back out. Definitely not anything over here. So let's head back here, open the case, notebook,
deducing.
and begin deducing. All right, so we got a lot of clues there.
Okay.
You've probably figured out how the culprit stole this jewel by now, huh? All right, so let's begin deducing in your case notebook. So I click this, begin deducing.
Okay.
We have a few plausible theories. Which do you think was right? So we have the culprit unlocked the case and stole the jewel. The culprit may have used a key to unlock the jewel case and then stole the Aurora drop. But then they would have had to get it off of Growlithe, which doesn't seem to add up. But Growlithe did seem really sad, so maybe something happened? The culprit hasn't actually stolen the jewel yet. The culprit may have not taken the Aurora drop out of the jewel storage room. Instead, they may have hidden it among the cotton fluff scattered throughout the room. If that's the case, can't we just go start searching the fluff? I guess we have to report to somebody first. The culprit cut open the case and stole the jewel. The culprit somehow cut open the jewel case to steal the Aurora drop. I feel like this one might be the most likely, but it could definitely be hidden in this, but I feel like that's also something we can't really guarantee at the moment. So let's try with this one. I don't know if we get like points for being right or not, but from what we've seen at the crime scene, we can tell that the jewel case was sliced open. After that, the Aurora drop was removed from the case and taken away. Right, and we saw that the jewel case was still locked, which supports that claim. We still need to investigate more to determine the case was sliced open. But at least now we know how the thief got their hands on the Aurora drop. Yeah, we've made our first step forward. So there we go, our first step forward, as Pikachu said, the culprit appears to have cut open the case and taken the jewel. You understand how to use the case notebook now? Yep, once I've got some evidence, I'll start deducing. Feel free to start deducing whenever you feel like it. So I guess, could we change our deduction? I don't know. I guess not. So that's where we have to really be sort of determined with all of our clues. After investigating the scene, we know how the crime scene was carried out. We can be certain that the culprit sliced open the case and took the jewel from inside. But there's just one thing that's strange. Oh yeah? Yeah, I think, Tim, what's strange about the way the crime was committed? The jewel storage room was locked, The jewel was stored in this room. The glass was cut, but the door wasn't. I would say that one. The door to the storage room was opened with a key, but the jewel case was still locked when it was sliced apart. That's right. So that means the thief only had one of the keys, the one to the storage room. They didn't have the key to the jewel case. According to Mr. Dennis, only he and Barnes can access the jewel storage room. I understand why the police suspect Barnes, but I'm not so sure. Obviously, it'd be best if he could talk to Barnes ourselves, but he's still being questioned. We need to ask Mr. Dennis about the lock on the jewel case. Right, after we wrap up here, let's go ask him. All right, well, oh hey, how's the investigation going, Tim? Oh, Mr. Dennis. Sorry, I couldn't stand just waiting around. Have you discovered anything? It does appear that the culprit used the storage room key to gain entry. We believe that they cut open the jewel case and took the Aurora drop. Is that so? I suppose it doesn't help Barnes much, since he has access to the key. I have a question for you, Mr. Dennis. Who has the key to the jewel case? I have it right here. I always carry the key to the jewel case on my person. I've known Barnes a very long time, but I still won't give him the key. Noted testimony. The security of the jewel case is my personal responsibility. Got it. So both Barnes and Dennis can access the key to the jewel storage room. But only Mr. Dennis has access to the key to the jewel case itself. That's valuable information, Mr. Dennis, thank you. Really? I thought I might be getting in the way, but I'm glad to hear I could help. The Aurora drop is meant to become a symbol of revival for Ryme City. Anyway, I'm counting on you, Tim. Okay, a symbol of revival? Let's ask Dennis about that later. So, we got more notes in our notebook. Is Barnes the culprit? The thief cut open the case to steal the jewel, but they had the key to get into the storage room. And the only people who have access to that key are Dennis and Barnes, so it makes sense that the police would suspect Barnes. If the key hadn't been used to unlock the storage room, Barnes wouldn't be under suspicion in the first place. But what about the key that was around Growlith's snack? Was that the one that Dennis has? But he said he always keeps it on his person, which is a little different than keeping it around Growlith's neck. Why would he do that, knowing people would suspect him? Maybe he didn't think that far ahead. In any case, based on what we found at the scene of the crime, we can't be certain of anything just yet. We need to talk to Barnes and the other people in the mansion and hear what they have to say. Not just the people, the Pokemon too. I'll interpret for you when we talk to them. All right, I'm counting on you, Pikachu. Okay, now that we've got our next steps figured out, let's start interviewing everyone right away. All right, so begin deducing. The police suspect Brandon Barnes is the culprit. Begin interviewing the people and Pokemon in the mansion. So before we begin deducing, I think we should do that next. So it seems like we don't have to do everything exactly how the game presents it, but I did want to look around here as much as I can. There's some nice paintings in the background, more jewels to inspect. This one's a blue jewel. It's a deep blue, like the ocean. It has a kind of magical feeling to it. It's a red jewel. What a vibrant red, like boiling hot lava. It's almost too bright to look at. Is there anything else around here we can inspect? I mean, I'm still very curious about this one specifically. You sure you've checked everywhere? I mean, I have, for sure. Wanna look around again? It's giving me the check marks for everything, so I'm pretty sure we have, wait a minute. The base of the jewel case is firmly fixed to the floor. Yeah, moving the base doesn't look possible. I don't see anything else worth investigating. All right, so now I think we're good. So we wanna take a look at Pikachu's tail again. All right, so we'll head out of this room and, hey Tim, there's something on the floor by the window. Should we check it out? Definitely, investigate near the window. Whoa, it's that feather again. And quite a few of them, actually.
Oh,
What's all this? Pokemon feathers? Sure looks like it. They're scattered all over the floor and the window's open. Maybe a Pokemon got in or out through there or through here. Do you think it has anything to do with this case? Look at this. One of these feathers is darker than the others. You're right, the other 6 are a lighter shade of blue. Something about that is nagging at me. Huh, and interview people, the people and Pokemon in the mansion. Will do, but first let's talk to
Tim,
Pikachu.
We're really living the good life at our apartment. A huge mansion like this must be a pain to clean.
I suppose so, but usually when they have the mansions, they also have the money to pay somebody else to clean it. All right, let's talk to you. This is the jewel storage room, the scene of the crime. Yep, we're aware of that. I don't see too much going on over on this side, but this room is still being investigated? I guess so. So,
Whoa!
yeah, okay. I mean, it might be important at this point, but I guess there really isn't too much more to do, so we will just run down the stairs. Or maybe not run down them, that's a little dangerous, but you know what I mean. We'll just make our way down here. And whoa, are you the butler? Is this Barnes?
Hello there, Detective Tim. Oh, I mean, Detective Goodman?
Larry Turner, newest staff member of the Denis Residence. So I wonder what they do here. Wait, you are the detective, right? That's what Mr. Denis said, at least. The name's, wait, that's not proper enough. Sorry, my name is Larry Turner, and I'm a member of the house staff. House staff, huh? Seems in over his head. If you need anything, just let me know. I mean, please inform me if. You really don't have to be so formal with us. Thanks, that's a huge relief. I got this job a while ago, but I'm still not used to the talking all fancy. Uh-oh, is that a problem? Well, it's a good thing for me that Barnes deals with all the important guests. My main duties are taking care of the Pokemon, managing the house, and groundskeeping. And I can handle all that no problem. I don't know, this guy isn't exactly filling me with confidence in his ability to do his job. Anyway, you wanted to ask about what happened, right? I mean, I already told the police everything I know. I'm really sorry for taking up more of your time. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. I'm not complaining or anything. It's just that I don't remember what happened very well. Something attacked me out of nowhere, and I blacked out. Something attacked him? So, not the thief then. Can you please tell us more about that, Mr. Turner? Sure, no problem. So about the crime that took place. Right, so where to start? I was just doing my job like normal today. I had made food for the Pokemon, did some cleaning around the mansion, that sort of thing. I think I was tidying the garden when it happened. I saw Ducklet fly out of the second-story window. As I recall, I wondered where she was going. I mean, usually Ducklet just walks her out to the front door. It seemed weird to me, so I went upstairs to see what was going on. That's when I saw the door to the jewel storage room was wide open. As if that wasn't shocking enough, the moment I went to look inside, I suddenly got punched by a Pokemon. The next thing I knew, I was lying on a sofa and someone was treating my wounds. A Pokemon punched you? Yeah, I feel like I glimpsed a small red figure for just a moment. Based on the size, it couldn't have been a human, so I'm guessing it was a Pokemon. A red Pokemon? Do you know what kind it was? I'm really not sure. It all happened so fast. I see. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But I'm glad you weren't seriously hurt. That was what the doctor said too. No Pokemon would want to steal that Aurora drop. It's possible that the culprit ordered their partner Pokemon to swipe the jewel and punch out Turner. So, Tim, now that you've heard Turner's story, what do you think? We need to find the Ducklet that flew out of the window, and that red Pokemon too. Yep, you got it. So, is the red Pokemon possibly Growlithe? I feel like that's the only red Pokemon we really encountered throughout the mansion. About the culprit.
Excuse me?
Did you see anything else when the Pokemon attacked you? The thief who brought the Pokemon along was probably nearby. Unfortunately, that's all I saw. I see. Can you think of any other details that might give us a clue about the culprit? Nothing in particular is coming to mind. I mean, Mr. Denis is such a nice person. I've never heard of anyone holding a grudge against him. And I was really surprised to hear that Barnes is a suspect. You don't think Barnes is responsible? I guess the police have some reason to suspect him, but honestly, I just can't believe it. Barnes is still showing me the ropes around here. He's a great coworker with tons of experience. I mean, if you'd known Barnes before all this, you could never even imagine him being a thief. About the Aurora drop.
Excuse me?
Do you know anything about the stolen jewel? The Aurora drop? I've never seen the thing. It's been shut up in that storage room ever since it was brought to the house. Of course, I know it's valuable and all. I assume that's what's been causing all the arguments between Mr. and Mrs. Dennis lately. What sort of arguments? In case you haven't heard, Mr. Dennis says he's gonna donate the Aurora drop. Seems like Mr. Dennis is against, or Mrs. Dennis is against the plan. They've been fighting about it almost nightly. Every night? It must really be a point of contention. I guess Mrs. Dennis just doesn't want to give up such a valuable jewel. So the Aurora drop's been driving a wedge between husband and wife, huh? Interesting, that actually is some really important context. Interview the people and the Pokemon in the mansion. So I guess that's all we could really say to them for now, but are you Mrs. Dennis?
Yes? You certainly don't look like you're with the police. State your business.
Claudia Dennis, Sanjeev Dennis's wife. We're detectives. Mr. Dennis asked us to investigate the incident that occurred here. Detectives? Oh, I suppose my husband did say something about that. Your husband? That must mean you're Claudia Dennis, Sanjeev's wife. I'm sorry to bother you, but do you mind if we ask you some questions? I do mind, actually. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The case has already been solved. What do you mean? The police said that Barnes is behind all this. So the matter's settled. We've heard that he's under suspicion, yes, but we can't be certain it was Barnes who committed the crime. You sound just like my husband, but nothing you say will change the fact that Barnes is the culprit. Barnes' partner, Ducklet, was up to no good. I saw it with my own eyes. Did you witness the crime? Barnes' partner, Ducklet, was involved in the crime? You look as though you don't believe me. About what you witnessed.
Excuse me?
Is it true that you witnessed the crime? Well, I didn't exactly see it clearly. Huh? But I did witness some irrefutable proof. What exactly did you see? At the time of the incident, I was enjoying a cup of tea in my room on the second floor. Oh, so that's what that one guarded room is. Just then, I noticed a bird Pokemon flying outside the window. A bird Pokemon? Yes, I clearly saw a blue bird Pokemon. It had to have been Ducklet. We did find blue feathers near the window and in the storage room. So those were Ducklets? In hindsight, she was obviously stealing the jewel. I also heard a faint sound just before that, like something metallic. A metallic sound? Do you know what could have made that noise? No, I don't. But the storage room was ransacked, wasn't it? I suppose she must have broken something in the act. And I've heard it confirmed that Ducklet's feathers were found in the room. Isn't that proof enough that Barnes is the culprit? She's pretty darn convinced of her own story. But all it's based on is a metallic sound and the sight of a flying blue bird Pokemon. Pretty flimsy if you ask me. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mrs. Dennis, but that information alone isn't enough to definitively prove Barnes is the culprit. Then hurry up and find whoever is and get that jewel back. Isn't that what my husband hired you for? I get that she's upset, but she doesn't have to take it out on us. I agree. So about Barnes.
Excuse me?
Mr. Dennis seems confident that Barnes is innocent. Oh yes, I'm sure he is. He's always been too trusting, especially when it comes to Barnes. Those two really trust each other that much? I'm told Barnes has worked here for a very long time, much longer in fact than I've known Sanjeev. I suppose that's why Barnes is always taking my husband's side. What do you mean by that? Whenever my husband and I have a disagreement, Barnes inevitably sides with Sanjeev, even though I'm sure he believes he's being impartial. That lack of self-awareness is yet another one of his many flaws. I get the feeling Claudia is not a huge fan of Barnes. Do you think that's why she's so sure he's the thief? Huh. Seems to have gotten very personal very quickly. About Ducklet.
Excuse me?
Could you tell me more about Ducklet? Ducklet is Barnes' partner. She dotes on him tirelessly and is always by his side. Noted testimony. Okay, we'll take a look at that in a moment. You mentioned earlier that she might be involved in the crime somehow. Would Ducklet be capable of such a thing? Yes, she even helps Barnes out with his shopping. She'd certainly be capable of making off with the jewel. Well, whether or not Ducklet stole the jewel, the one thing that seems certain is that she really loves Barnes. About the Aurora Drop.
Yes?
The Aurora Drop is an incredibly valuable jewel. Mr. Dennis told me the same thing. But do you really understand? Can you even comprehend just how valuable it is? Huh? I knew it. Just look at those blank expressions. Hey, my face always looks like this. As it is, I'm not even sure my husband understands the true value of that jewel. After getting his hands on something so precious, why would he want to donate it to Ryme City? So you're against donating the Aurora Drop? Of course I am. Treasures like that aren't meant to be paraded about for the general public. They should be preserved for quiet observation by a select few. Hard to imagine her quietly doing anything. Oh my gosh. All right, so it looks like that's all we're gonna hear from Mrs. Dennis here, but we can talk to your Pokemon, right? Hi. Clefable, or Clefable, all ears from Mansion Gossip. Interesting. Oh, it's Clefable, Mrs. Dennis's partner, apparently. Can I ask you a few questions? Whoa, what gives? No need to be so rude. What's wrong? Seems like she's real suspicious of us. Maybe she's feeling sensitive after the incident here. I don't know. Why feel so suspicious if there's nothing to be concerned about? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they have been the most suspicious people in this entire case so far. See, I did want to go in here and chat with Sanjeev a little bit more, but also Growlithe. Poor Growlithe seems so upset. It's Dennis's partner, Growlithe. She sure doesn't look happy. Apparently she feels responsible. No wonder she's so down. Maybe we should leave her alone for a while. I guess so. I mean, she's definitely the closest one to a red Pokemon, but I would say sort of more orangish, so I don't know too much about whatever your name was. I don't know what Pokemon that was. Oh, there's some snacks over here. It's some tea to serve to visitors. I'd prefer coffee myself. All right, hi Sanjeev. Ask me anything you like. About the symbol of revival. What makes the Aurora Drop a symbol of revival? 2 years ago, during the R incident, my jewel shop suffered considerable damage. Wait, you were a victim of the R incident? Yes, some Pokemon who'd been exposed to R went berserk. Their rampage destroyed my shop, to say nothing of the damage done to my jewels and other goods. By that time, I'd already had the Aurora Drop. I kept it stored safely in the shop. So was the Aurora Drop damaged too? No, as a matter of fact, it wasn't. Of all the jewels in my shop, the Aurora Drop was the only one to remain unscathed. In fact, debris fell so perfectly around the Aurora Drop that you might believe it was being protected. That's incredible. I guess there's some magic left in the world after all. Ever since then, the Aurora Drop became known as the jewel that survived the R incident. People started visiting my shop just to see it. And thanks to all that attention, my business was able to get back on its feet. Sounds like a valuable jewel, in more ways than one. What made you decide to bring it back to your mansion instead of keeping it at your shop? I decided to donate it to Ryme City. The Aurora Drop? But why donate something so precious to you? It's not just precious to me, and that's exactly why I decided to donate it. Mayor Myers has done his part in improving our city by declaring the start of the Pokemon Friendship Week. I thought it was about time I did mine. So I wanted to donate the jewel that survived the R incident as a symbol of Ryme City's revival. I hope that by doing so, I can help liven up not just my shop, but the whole city as well. Wow, Dennis, I'm impressed. That's a wonderful gesture. I'm glad you think so. Not everyone is so pleased about it. Oh? Forget I said anything. I shouldn't burden you with concern over such personal matters. For now, I'm counting on you to find the Aurora Drop as quickly as possible. Understood. We'll do everything we can. So I feel like he also was motivated because more people would visit the shop, right? So I don't know. Seems to be quite the conflict, but I do sort of side with Sanjeev more with the idea of donating it. Now then, Mr. Barnes, we'll thank you not to leave the mansion until further notice. Understood. Hey, it sounds like the police finished questioning Barnes. Let's go talk to him. Yeah. So we've talked to everybody we have to, and there's Barnes. Brandon Barnes, butler of the Denis Residence. How did it come to this? Why are the police so suspicious of me? Excuse me, are you Mr. Barnes? Who might you be? I'm Detective Tim Goodman. Mr. Denis has hired me to investigate the crime that occurred here. Is that so? My apologies. I am Brandon Barnes. I work here at the Denis Residence as a butler. Do you mind if we ask you some questions, Mr. Barnes? I realize you must be tired since you were just questioned by the police. Please don't worry about that. If you've been hired by Mr. Denis, then it is my duty to give you my full cooperation. Thank you. What would you like me to speak about first? At the time of the incident,
Yes.
I was away when the incident occurred. It wasn't until after I'd finished my errand and entered the house that I realized something was amiss. I heard Turner cry out from the second floor. When I rushed upstairs, I found him collapsed on the floor in front of the jewel storage room. So that means Barnes was the first witness to arrive at the scene of the crime. Did you see the thief or their partner Pokemon? No, nothing like that. Wait, if Barnes ran up the stairs, you'd think he would have run straight into the thief. If he didn't see anyone, could they have escaped from the second floor? Did you check the storage room? Yes, the door was already open, and when I looked inside, I saw that the Aurora drop was gone. I then contacted Mr. Denis and the police right away. Is there anyone who can corroborate your whereabouts at the time? Unfortunately not. It was only afterward that Mrs. Denis came out of her room to see what the commotion was about, and the only others in the house at the time were Growlithe and Clefable. Naturally, no one can take witness statements from Pokemon, so I'm afraid I have no alibi. That's where we come in. The Pokemon that live in this mansion might know something. So yeah, Pikachu can interrogate them about the culprit. Mr. Barnes, do you have any idea who the thief might be? Not a clue, I'm afraid. But I do know that Mr. Denis and I are the only ones who can freely use the key to the jewel storage room. So that's another noted testimony. Growlithe guards that key with constant vigilance. So I imagine it would be very difficult for anyone else to take it from her. I suppose it's no great wonder that the police suspect me, given the circumstances, but I would never do something so senseless. At least this confirms that only those two have access to the key. About Ducklet.
Yes.
Ducklet is my dear partner, Pokemon. Just look at this photo. Aw, so cute. That's Ducklet with you there? Yes, isn't she adorable? Just look at her feathers, simply beautiful. But that's not all. She's also incredibly clever and even helps me out with my work. Oh, excuse me. I'm terribly sorry. I tend to get a bit carried away when I speak about Ducklet. It's really no problem. You mentioned that she helps you with your work. What exactly does she do? Let's see. She runs errands for me, such as buying coffee beans from a local cafe. Oh, she buys coffee beans. Nice. There is a place nearby called Hi Hat Cafe. Perhaps you've heard of it? She regularly goes shopping there by herself. If that's her go-to cafe, then it's gotta be for the Hi Hat blend. Guess I shouldn't be surprised that Ryme City's elites have such refined taste. I asked her to go to the cafe today, in fact, but she hasn't returned yet. Could she have wandered off somewhere? Do you have any idea where Ducklet might be? Unfortunately, no. The feathers are found at the scene of the crime are Ducklet's, right? Yes, no question about it. But I haven't the faintest idea why Ducklet's feathers would be there. Just the thought of her getting caught up in the crime somehow, I'm so worried I can hardly think straight. About the Aurora drop. Out of all the jewels in Mr. Denis's collection, he considered the Aurora drop to be his most precious. He worked tirelessly to acquire it in the first place. You might even say the Aurora drop is the physical manifestation, the crystallization of Mr. Denis's career as a jeweler. I wish nothing but swift retribution on the thief who stole it from him. From someone who speaks so formally, Barnes is a pretty passionate guy, isn't he? Please, Tim, find the Aurora drop, I beg you. Don't worry, sir, we're on the case. Okay,
Well,
based on Barnes's testimony, I'm really not surprised the police suspect him. Yeah, if only there was another witness at least. About that, aren't you forgetting something, Tim? Huh? Barnes told us that Growlithe and Clefable were in the mansion at the time of the incident, remember? Oh right, maybe the Pokemon saw something. Exactly, you can leave the rest to me. Let's go question them, Tim. All right, so I definitely have some ideas, but it looks like Pikachu wants to talk.
Yo, Manectric, working hard? Hey, what did I ever do to you?
Oh no. So Manectric maybe not so happy to say hi, but
Great detective tip number 9. People who lie during their testimony, they usually look up and to the right.
huh,
That's just something I've personally observed.
I'll keep that in mind. So I've not noticed that yet, but I wasn't really looking for it. But it's weird that they don't give the tips in order. But let's also talk to the police officer, Brad McMaster. What do you want, great detective? Have you finished questioning Barnes? For now, anyway. We just haven't finished gathering our evidence. Doesn't change the fact that Barnes is still a suspect. If you don't mind, could we ask you some questions? If you insist, but I have no intention of sharing confidential information with you. About Barnes.
Excuse me?
Is the storage room key the reason the police suspect Barnes? Oh, so you know that much already? Well, no point in denying it. The only two people who can access the key are the homeowner and his butler, Mr. Dennis and Barnes. I highly doubt Mr. Dennis staged all this himself, which leaves Barnes as the only logical suspect. Not only that, there were ducklet feathers at the crime scene, and Barnes' partner is a ducklet. Clearly, Barnes used the key to get inside the storage room, then had Ducklet fly off with the jewel. That's my working theory. Duly noted. We don't have any decisive evidence yet, but we're going to find this ducklet that flew the coop, and then we'll get definitive proof, you'll see. Well, I'll be counting my own investigation, or continuing my own investigation. Suit yourself. And that really doesn't answer why was there all that cotton in that room? About the investigation. Are you following any leads other than Barnes? Of course we are. We've already collected statements from every last person in this house. Do you mind if I ask what your impression of each of them was? Well, I suppose I can tell you that much. Mr. Dennis seems rather shaken by Barnes falling under suspicion, and his wife Claudia is reacting quite impetuously. She's been approaching us repeatedly to demand that we hurry and wrap up our investigation. Oof, that's gotta be tough. I almost feel bad for Brad. One of their staff members, Turner, has been very cooperative with our investigations. He has told us a lot about everything that happened up until he lost consciousness. I suppose that's all I can say for now. Thank you, we'll keep that in mind. The police can question people, but they can't talk to Pokemon. Interviewing the Pokemon around here might help us paint a clearer picture of what went down. Will do. So let's talk to this Manectric, not Manectric. No need to glare at us like that, Manectric. Or I don't know how to Manectric? Difficult. Calm down already. We're not gonna get in the way of your police work. Brad's Manectric sure is committed to the job. True, and he's been keeping watch, so if anyone tried to hide some evidence, he'd spot it right away. I guess he is helpful in that way, but I just wish he'd dial back his aggression towards me. Poor Pikachu.
I see.
Ask anything you want, Tim. About my dad. Inspector Holliday? I know this has nothing to do with the current case, but you wanna ask me about Harry? Yes, did the police have any new leads on my father's whereabouts? I'm sorry, Tim, but we haven't made any developments on that front. Oh, well, thanks anyway. I still don't understand it myself. Harry was working on the art case when he went missing, so it stands to reason that if you followed that thread, you'd find Harry too. But the case has been closed and we still don't have a single clue. Seriously, where did Harry disappear to? Don't be discouraged, Tim. Look at how far you've come in the 2 years since you moved to the city in search of your father. You've become such a great detective that the mayor himself recognized you with an award. You'll find Harry, I'm sure of it, and in the meantime, I'll keep offering whatever help I can. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Inspector Holliday. Cool, so that's good to know. This room is currently under police investigation. Only authorized personnel are permitted, so we still can't go into this room. Looks like the police are done questioning Barnes, but they're still searching the room. Right, let's investigate somewhere else. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's anything else really more to do in the lobby then. Unless I want to talk to the Pokemon again. Yeah, Growlithe and Clefable. She still looks awfully suspicious of us. Let's try again later. Interesting, what about Growlithe? Growlithe has something new to say. Hey Growlithe, sorry to bug you when you're already feeling down, but would it be all right if we asked you some questions? We're here to catch the thief, and we need your help to do that. You're willing to talk to us if it'll help Sanji? Thanks. Sanji? Growlithe's nickname for Denis, near as I can tell. Oh right, his full name is Sanjeev Denis, so I guess Sanji makes sense. Anyway, Growlithe, can we start with the questions? About you, Growlithe. Gotcha. As Denis's partner, it's your job to guard the mansion. And we already know the key to the jewel storage room was around your neck. It's important to Denis, so guarding it is important to you. Makes sense. She says she'd never let anyone other than Denis or Barnes even touch the key. So that's why you feel extra responsible for what happened, huh? She's really got a strong sense of responsibility. Don't worry, the two of us are gonna crack this case. At the time of the incident,
Well,
do you remember anything about the time of the incident? You don't know because you were napping? What? Your breakfast was so tasty that you ate too much and it made you sleepy? Been there, believe me. What are you even talking about? You woke up when Barnes got home? That would have been right before all the commotion happened. And when you woke up, your precious key was gone? Yeah, I can tell you're upset. You'll do whatever it takes to help us catch the thief? Thanks. We'll come ask you for an assist if anything comes up. So if somebody took the key from Growlithe when they were sleeping, then it definitely couldn't have been Barnes, because Barnes already had a key. Why would he need to take another one? Unless it was to make it look less suspicious, but even that feels very convoluted, so I really think it must have not have been Barnes. About Barnes. She says Barnes is a kind and well-mannered person. He and Denis are close, and she's never seen them fighting or arguing. Mr. Denis really does seem to trust Barnes after all. And Growlithe likes Barnes too. Judging from what Growlithe says, it's hard to think of Barnes as a likely culprit. There wasn't anything in Growlithe's testimony that could help us prove Barnes' innocence. Only left is to ask Clefable. I'll do what I can to get Clefable talking to us. Thanks, Pikachu. Okay, so let's run over to Clefable again. What, you think we're thieves returning to the scene of the crime? You got it all wrong. We're not here to steal anything. We're actually great detectives looking to catch the thief. Please, can you answer some questions? Yes, really, come on, you can trust us. Yeah, help us out, and I'm sure Claudia's bad mood will clear up too. So, you're willing to talk to us? Thanks. Guess Clefable was worried we'd do something bad to Mrs. Denis. About you, Clefable.
Hey.
Do you have a job here at the mansion? Ah, no job per se, unless you count spending time with Claudia. Isn't it tough hanging out with someone so prickly? Claudia's not a bad person, you say? Sorry, didn't mean to be insulting. Uh-huh, so Claudia's always arguing with someone or other. But when it's just you and her together, she starts to regret the whole thing. Ah, I get it now. Your job is to cheer her up when she gets into arguments. Wow, you're actually pretty nice. I bet Clefable's really important to Miss Denis. At the time of the incident, did anything strange happen today? Clefable's saying that she got real sleepy while playing in the mansion this morning. So there was a point in time where maybe both Growlithe and Clefable were sleeping? Then she dozed off and doesn't know what happened after that. That's too bad. About Barnes. What do you think of Barnes? Do you get along with him all right? Claudia doesn't like Barnes, so Clefable tries not to have much to do with him. But she doesn't think Barnes is a bad person. After all, she says Barnes ran to help Turner when he got hurt. Wait, does that mean Clefable saw Barnes going upstairs to help Turner? Yeah, it's gotta. Clefable, what else can you tell us? Clefable was dozing near the front door this morning. When Barnes got home from doing stuff outside, she woke up and greeted him at the door. Then Clefable and Barnes heard Turner cry out on the second floor, so they both went running upstairs. Interesting. So much information. And that's when, to their surprise, they found Turner on the floor. That means when Turner was attacked, Barnes was still on the first floor. So that also means, though, that Turner isn't making up his part of the story. We have two witnesses that say that Turner ran upstairs for whatever reason and then screamed. It would be really weird for him to be able to steal something in that time.
Okay, let's start deducing.
Yeah, we have enough stuff to start deducing. I don't know if there's really too much more to do.
Let's start deducing.
It seems like Pikachu really wants to do this, so let's get to it. Is Barnes the culprit? The police suspect Brandon Barnes is the culprit. Begin interviewing the people and Pokemon in the mansion and begin deducing. We want to, but there's also some other information here. Clefable greeted Barnes at the entrance. Clefable greeted Barnes when he turned to the mansion. Both she and Barnes heard Turner cry out. Mr. Dennis and Barnes have known each other for a long time. Barnes has worked at the mansion since Mr. Dennis was a child. Only certain people have access to Growlithe's key. The only people who could have taken the key to the jewel storage room from around Growlithe's neck were Mr. Dennis and Barnes. Could that really be the case, though? Let's begin deducing.
Okay.
All right, we've got some useful information. Let's stop for a moment and get our thoughts together. Based on everything we heard, is there anything that suggests Barnes is innocent? Let's review the information we've gathered and see what we come up with. So, Barnes may not be the culprit. He returned to the mansion after the crime had occurred. When Barnes returned to the mansion, both he and Clefable heard Larry Turner cry out. So it's highly unlikely Barnes committed the crime. Barnes doesn't seem like he would betray Mr. Dennis. Would Barnes really betray Mr. Dennis? They've known each other a long time, and Mr. Dennis trusts Barnes implicitly. Barnes may be the culprit. He had access to the key. Barnes is the only one aside from Mr. Dennis who had access to the jewel storage room key, so he must be the culprit. I feel like out of all of these, the first one is the most likely, because once again, why would he steal Growlithe's key if he already had his own? It doesn't really make too much sense to me, but I don't know. We'll try with this one.
Okay.
We learned that Clefable greeted Barnes when he returned to the mansion, and Growlithe said that she woke up at exactly the same time. Barnes and the others only became aware of the crime after that. Doesn't that mean Barnes couldn't be the culprit? Barnes was on the first floor when Turner was attacked. That would have made it very difficult for Barnes to steal the jewel. I'm not sure we can prove Barnes' innocence with that alone. Yeah, we can't exactly disclose that testimony came from Pokemon. No one would believe us. It looks like we're going to need other evidence to prove his innocence. Okay, Barnes has an alibi. How can we prove Barnes' innocence? We can't lift the suspicion around Barnes with Clefable's testimony alone. I think we're going to need some other kind of evidence to prove his innocence. But where should we look for it? Nothing immediately comes to mind. At times like this, it's best to try investigating other leads. We might find a thread somewhere unexpected that leads us back to this. To get close to the truth of this case, we've got no choice but to find the Pokemon that witnesses saw. Witnesses reported seeing a red Pokemon and Ducklet. I wonder if the Pokemon that cut open the jewel case is the culprit's partner. It makes sense to think that, but no such human was seen by witnesses. Having said that though, we might learn something if we can find the red Pokemon. Let's head into the city and get some leads on that red Pokemon. I'm sure we'll be able to figure out what Pokemon it actually is. And even more. At this point, it seems pretty unlikely that Barnes is the culprit. But then, why did Ducklet leave from the second floor window? Seems unlikely that it's got nothing to do with the jewel theft. Finding Ducklet would be the quickest way to confirm that. Good call. Let's head into the city and look for her. Okay, so we probably don't want to begin deducing just yet. So let's read through everything we have here. We go back, navigate down here. How can we prove Barnes' innocence? Pokemon testimonies alone are not enough to prove Barnes' innocence. Look for stronger evidence. And the first one is the lock on the jewel case. The lock on the jewel case, it's still locked, which only Denis had the key anyways, so I don't think that's too helpful. Where is the red Pokemon? The red Pokemon that entered the mansion is clearly involved in this incident somehow. Look for that Pokemon in Ryme City. And then where did the Ducklet go? Ducklet is nowhere to be found at the Denis Residence. Find out where she went. And then we do have a little bit of information. Barnes and Ducklet are always together. Ducklet is apparently always with her partner Barnes. But what if something happened and Ducklet wasn't running away from the scene, but chasing whoever did it?
Okay.
All right, looks like the only way to continue our investigation is to gather info in the city. But where should we go? Should we go after Ducklet or search for the red Pokemon? If you're unsure, why don't we try following Ducklet? I think we have a better lead to go on for that than for the red Pokemon. Oh right, we did hear that the Ducklet was supposed to go buy coffee beans today. I bet you she went to the Hi Hat Cafe. You're right, we should probably go search the cafe. Let's not waste any time, Tim. All right, so the search for Ducklet and the red Pokemon. So I guess we'll do that now. And we could also talk to Pikachu a little bit.
Seems like the residents of this mansion drink coffee frequently. I can tell by the aroma.
So they're just like you, huh? All right then, so I guess there really isn't too much more to do around here. I'll run by everyone just to make sure there's nobody else to talk to, but I think we're good to head out of the mansion into the Hi Hat Cafe. So right up this direction, seems good. So that was our first episode exploring the Denis Mansion and searching the missing jewel. In the next episode, we'll explore more of Ryme City to hopefully find the answer to this mysterious case. But for right now, that is gonna wrap it up for today's episode of Detective Pikachu Returns. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.